Shouldn't you be helping more around the house? If this is the kind of spouse you're going to be, maybe it's better if you leave. My mother-in-law's sharp words cut through the room, her piercing stare leaving no room for misinterpretation. Stunned by her harshness, I glanced at my sister-in-law, who added dismissively, "You always look exhausted and never seem to get anything done." Feeling overwhelmed, I turned to my husband, Matthew, hoping for support. "This is too much. Don't you think your mom and sister are being unfair?" I asked, my voice trembling, but Matthew's response only deepened the blow. "I agree with them," he said bluntly. "I'm swamped with work, and it's a problem that you're not contributing more at home. Things are running smoothly with the new part-time worker at the cafe, and honestly, you're just slowing us down. Maybe you should consider staying somewhere else." His words felt like a slap. I looked at the three of them, their judgment bearing down on me. Anger surged within me, but I forced myself to stay calm. Taking a deep breath, I replied, "I need time to think. My name is Lori, and I'm 35 years old. Balancing my career and household responsibilities has always been a priority for me. Like many women, I juggle work and family life, striving to excel at both. I love my job and take pride in the company I joined straight out of college." One morning, as I prepared for work, Matthew approached me with a file stuffed with receipts and bills. "Lori, can you handle this? The cafe's finances are a mess," he said, looking exasperated. I tried to keep things light, smiling as I replied, "Sorry, I'm not good at that kind of stuff." Matthew and I had met when he worked part-time at a cafe I frequented. We hit it off after several conversations, started dating, and eventually got married. Now, he owns the cafe, but paperwork has never been his strength. It often fell on me to sort it out. As I sighed at yet another task added to my plate, my mother-in-law chimed in, "Lori, I'm craving Chinese tonight. Make sure to rinse the rice well. Also, Denise and the kids are visiting this weekend, so plan the meals accordingly." "Sure, I understand," I replied, trying to mask my frustration as I hurried out the door to escape the mounting pressures at home. Initially, I was filled with excitement for my new life with Matthew, but that enthusiasm faded when he proposed a significant change. "My mom seems lonely living by herself. Why don't we all move into our big house together?" he suggested. And so, we moved in with his mother. It quickly became apparent that household upkeep wasn't her strong suit. After my father-in-law passed away, she lived off her pension, spending most of it dining out or ordering in. The responsibility of maintaining the house fell squarely on my shoulders. Matthew, holding traditional views, believed housework was a woman's duty, leaving me to manage everything. Weekends, which I had hoped would offer a reprieve, became even more chaotic when Denise visited with her kids, adding to the workload. One day, Denise made an announcement. "I'm getting divorced, and we'll be moving back here with the kids next month," she declared. Stunned, I managed to respond, "It must have been tough. When are you moving?" "As soon as possible," she replied. Though surprised, I held on to a sliver of hope. Perhaps her presence would ease the burden. We had a decent relationship, and I thought this change might bring us closer, but reality painted a different picture. Denise, raised with the same mindset as her mother, seemed allergic to housework. She spent her days lounging on the sofa, engrossed in TV, often with a snack in hand. I couldn't help but wonder if her aversion to domestic responsibilities had contributed to her marital troubles. Instead of alleviating the workload, her presence added to it. I now had to prepare extra meals for her children and pack lunches for kindergarten. My hopes of shared responsibilities proved futile. At work, my responsibilities had also increased. Early mornings, overtime, and late returns left me drained. Coming home to a cluttered, chaotic house only intensified my exhaustion. The mess and constant demands wore me down. "Is dinner ready yet? Why are you home so late?" The questions, laced with judgment, were a daily reminder of the growing strain in my life. When I arrived home, the familiar sight of clutter and an endless list of chores awaited me. No sooner had I set my bag down than the sharp remarks began. "Lori, there's a mountain of laundry waiting," my mother-in-law snapped. "Being busy isn't an excuse to slack off." Inside, I wanted to shout, "I'm trying my best," but as usual, I swallowed my frustration and held back. My sister-in-law often added her 2 cents, her tone light but biting. "Lori, standing up to mom is bold, but for the kids' sake, shouldn't you put more effort into making homemade meals?" Tired and nearing my limit, I couldn't help but retort, "If you've got so much free time, maybe you could help out with the chores once in a while." Her response was a dismissive laugh. "Haha, since Matthew owns a store, You don't even need to work, right? Maybe you should try harder at home. Their constant jabs piled on, each one heavier than the last. The expectation that I should somehow do more, despite my already packed schedule, weighed on me. One night, pushed to my breaking point, I decided to confront Matthew. "I've been incredibly busy lately," I began, my voice trembling with exhaustion. "Neither your mother nor your sister helps out with the chores. It's really hard to manage everything alone." Matthew's reaction stung like a slap. "Lori, are you speaking ill of my family?" he asked, his tone cold and defensive. "That's not what I mean," I explained, trying to stay calm, "but it's overwhelming to do this all by myself. If you could just help occasionally, it would make things easier." His reply was blunt and dismissive. "I'm busy managing the store, it's not like a regular job. And isn't housework a wife's responsibility?" Crushed by his indifference, I retreated to my thoughts, sitting alone in the kitchen. "If they won't help, then I'll find a way to help myself," I resolved, my frustration turning into determination. I grabbed my phone, opened my favorite shopping app, and started adding items to my cart. A few days later, my reinforcements arrived: a high-tech washing machine, a robotic vacuum, and a sleek rice cooker. Each appliance felt like a lifeline, offering me a glimmer of relief. As I set up the new washing machine, my mother-in-law and sister-in-law walked in, their faces a mixture of surprise and curiosity. "Wow, Lori, you got such a fancy washing machine. Wasn't the old one still working?" my mother-in-law asked, her skepticism barely hidden. I smiled calmly. "It was, but it was slow, and this one can handle the laundry much faster," I explained. Their attention quickly shifted to the robotic vacuum and kitchen gadgets. "You've upgraded everything," my sister-in-law noted, her tone slightly accusatory. "These will help us keep the house clean and save time," I said, a hint of pride in my voice. Later, my mother-in-law called me aside. "Lori, do we really need all these new appliances?" she asked sharply. "Aren't we relying too much on machines?" Keeping my tone even, I replied, "The older ones weren't as efficient. Since Matthew is so busy with the store, I thought this would make things run smoother for everyone." Matthew, who had overheard the conversation, added hesitantly, "Maybe we should be more frugal." Despite their reservations, I held firm. These appliances were more than just tools, they were my small act of rebellion, a way to reclaim a bit of sanity amidst the chaos. Conceded? Maybe you're right, I thought, but frustration simmered inside me. The conversation escalated quickly. "Are you even considering our household needs?" my mother-in-law challenged, her tone sharp. I stumbled over my words, feeling cornered. "I am, but I'm just a bit exhausted," I admitted, my voice faltering. "That's enough," she snapped, disbelief dripping from every syllable. "I can't believe you're our daughter-in-law," my sister-in-law added with a disdainful glare. "I'll watch over Matthew. We don't need someone like you here." Desperate, I turned to Matthew for support, but his cold reply cut deeper than their words. "I understand what Mom and Sis are saying. It's difficult having a wife who..." His words trailed off, leaving an icy silence in their wake. As they left the room, I sat there, their words weighing heavily on me, yet, amidst the pain, a flicker of resolve ignited in my heart. I had made my choices. Those appliances were not just tools, but lifelines. I needed them to manage the chaos and preserve my sanity. Matthew, however, wasn't finished. Looking at me with a smug, almost cruel smile, he said, "I have my store, so I decide how to spend my money, but being with someone who spends without thinking might be too hard for me." His words stung, but I held my composure, silently counting to 12. With a touch of malice, he continued, "Also, I've noticed things have been going well with the new part-time girl at the store. She's more attractive than you are now. Maybe it's time for you to find a new place to live." A wave of anger rose within me, but I forced it down. I took a deep breath and replied calmly, "All right, I'll look for a new home." Matthew's smugness grew. "Finally, you understand. I'll feel much better without you around." That night, Matthew signed the divorce papers without hesitation. I packed my essentials, took the papers, and moved to a nearby weekly rental. No one tried to stop me, and as I left, I couldn't help but wonder if they had ever truly cared. After finalizing the divorce at the city office, I found a stylish apartment and began anew. Around the same time, an unexpected opportunity came my way: a promotion to section manager, a role I had previously turned down due to family obligations. I embraced it with vigor, throwing myself into my work with a renewed sense of purpose and fulfillment. One busy day, my phone rang. The caller ID showed my former mother-in-law's name. Surprised, I ignored it. We had no reason to be in contact anymore. A year passed, and I had almost forgotten those calls when, on a relaxing weekend, my phone rang again. This time, curiosity got the better of me. "Hello? Is something wrong?" I answered cautiously. "Lori, I finally got through. I didn't think you'd answer after so many calls." Her voice carried an unfamiliar uncertainty. "Well, it's been a while. What's going on?" I asked, keeping my tone neutral. She hesitated before speaking. "How's your new life?" Despite her probing, I responded cheerfully. "It's great. I love my new apartment. Work is going smoothly, and I even got a promotion. I'm enjoying my freedom." "That's good, Lori. Can you come back home?" she asked abruptly, catching me off guard. "Why?" I blurted out, suspicion creeping into my voice. "We're struggling financially," she admitted after a pause. I wasn't surprised. Matthew's Cafe only brings in about $2,000 a month, right? If no one else in the family works, things could be tough, I said, my tone measured. "You know about that?" she asked, clearly startled. "Yes," I replied simply, already well aware of their precarious situation. I had always managed the accounting for Matthew's Cafe, while he flaunted the image of a successful owner, oblivious to the true state of his business. It was almost laughable how unaware he was. I handled all the finances, from procurement to covering his mounting losses, so of course, I knew the truth. "You knew all this and didn't tell us? We had no idea you were doing so well in such a big company or that you were contributing so much to the household expenses," my former mother-in-law exclaimed. I nodded. "Yes, I contributed over $5,000 each month. That's what kept everything afloat." The revelation left her momentarily speechless. After I left, the reality of their financial situation must have hit hard. "Lori, can you please come back?" she pleaded again. Curious, I asked, "How's Matthew's Cafe doing now?" Her sigh was heavy. "We might have to close soon. The part-time workers keep quitting." I couldn't help but smirk inwardly. Well, that's what happens when the owner's pride gets in the way of proper management. How many women out there do you think would support a guy like that? She faltered, searching for words. "Since you left, the house has been a mess. It's chaotic, with things scattered everywhere. We've been eating out because no one cooks, and the washing machine broke down," she admitted, painting a picture of complete disarray. "You can't afford a new washing machine?" I asked, intrigued. She hesitated. "We relied on the appliances you took back. I didn't realize how much we depended on them." I raised an eyebrow. "I bought those for my convenience, so it was fair for me to take them, right?" "Yes, but I never realized housework was this challenging," she admitted grudgingly. I couldn't resist a bit of sarcasm. With 3 adults in the house, how can it be that hard? "What are Matthew and Denise doing?" Her voice grew tired. "Matthew has been lazing around at home since sales dropped and his staff started quitting. He used to spend money recklessly, and now he's despondent. Denise doesn't help with anything and still expects an allowance from me. Living on just my pension for the 3 of us is hard." I sighed, the memories of their dismissive attitudes replaying in my mind. "Denise once told me I was unnecessary because she was there," I replied, my tone laced with irony. Desperation crept into her voice. "Lori, we're really in trouble. Please, reconsider." I paused before answering firmly. "I have no intention of returning. Living with all that baggage must be hard." She sounded lost for words, and I almost felt a pang of pity. Just as I was about to end the call, she added, "There's an issue with the property tax. We might have to let go of the house." The weight of her words hung in the air, but I remained resolute. "I see. You'll have to figure that out as a family." Without waiting for a response, I ended the call and blocked her number. Back in my apartment, I held my favorite mug of coffee, the aroma soothing me as I gazed at the serene view outside. A spontaneous smile crossed my face, reveling in the quiet and freedom of my new life. A few months later, while wandering through the old neighborhood, I noticed the cafe was shut down, its once lively atmosphere now silent and empty. Nostalgia tugged at me briefly as I passed by. Not far away, I spotted a sold sign outside my former in-laws' house. By chance, I bumped into an old neighbor who filled me in. They sold the house quickly and moved to a small apartment. It's been rough for them, constant arguments and even complaints about garbage piling up. It's become a bit of gossip around here. I nodded, thinking about how a little effort could have changed their circumstances. Yet, they never tried. As I walked away, my thoughts drifted to the life I had built for myself. Recently, a charming coworker confessed his admiration for my hard work, and we'd started dating. For the first time, I felt genuine excitement about what the future could hold. If I get married again, I mused, I want it to be a truly happy one. The thought filled me with hope, and I couldn't help but smile, ready to embrace whatever came next.